And that's what the rural resident need. That's what the people in the South End need. I understand transportation is important, transit is important, which is perfectly. That's what the city is there for. They get the funding, they're building the LRT, they're building the stations, they're building the transit. But you have to understand and realize Ottawa is unique.
From coast to coast to coast. These are our stories. This is the VCalla Show, presented by CrossCut Digital Strategies.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the VCalla Show, presented by CrossCut Digital Strategies. I'm Vincenzo Calla, creator of VCalla Productions, and today I'm here with a man who needs no introduction at all because his name is on the wall. Welcome MPP Darouze to the VCalla Show.
Thank you very much, Vincenzo. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with me today.
Well, I'm glad we were able to do this. I know that the last time we did it, my notes, I took it down, we did my last show in May 2023.
Wow.
A lot has changed since then,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about it today.
Absolutely.
So thanks for coming on. You're also, in addition to being the MPP for Carleton, you're also the Parliamentary Secretary or Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services and President of the Treasury Board. Yeah. So you've had a pretty full plate on the past year.
Yeah, I'm a PA for MCCSS and Treasury Board. I work with both Minister Michael Parsa and Minister Caroline Maroney, it's been amazing learning experience from both of them. They're amazing ministers, and I'm so happy and proud to be their PA for both of those roles.
Well, we'll talk a bit about that a little later. I have a section on that later. But sure. In the beginning, I just want to talk a bit about, people who know who you are. We've had our show before. But talking about how you got into being an MPP. You've been a city councillor for a long time.
Yeah.
And last year you made the jump to provincial politics. And we're a year out from the election. It's crazy to think. It's already been a year. But tell me a bit about that decision you made to jump up to provincial politics.
You know what? I get asked this question all the time. But to me, it's a perfect transition. For 10 years serving Osgood Ward as a municipal councillor at the City of Ottawa, one of the largest city in Ontario. It was an honor and privilege, but I also learned a lot throughout those 10 years. And I sat and I served on so many committees, from agricultural welfare committees and transportation committees and audit committees and just to name a few, But so you learn through the year where you can serve and how you can help your communities, your residents, because at the council you wear a multiple hat. You wear your ward resident hat, but also you kind of look at citywide issues, right? So you learn to be understanding the issues, what's happening in the City of Ottawa, also in your riding, and try to strike the right balance. So when this opportunity came in, from me, the Municipal Act, it stems from Provincial Act. So whatever we do at the city, the province is actually state and tell you how we're the creature of the province at the municipality. So when the opportunity arises for me to be able to run as an MPP, after 10 years, which is I built a foundation, I learned the issues, not only in my riding, in the city, and it was a very easy transition, specifically in rural Ottawa. Our Carleton riding is really a unique riding because you have suburban and rural, and how you strike the right balance. But from my experience, helped me during those 10 years to be able to see what are the issues in each area, and I was exposed to see how we can solve a solution. So the decision was very easy for me when the opportunity came up. My community leaders, my people, my team, lots of people said, George, it's time for you to represent at Queen's Park, and it became natural, and it was an easy transition for me.
Well, and that's the thing, as you know, I'm in Nepean, but I spend a lot of time in Carleton. We're very much connected. We were one riding till 10 years ago, right?
Exactly.
So to see that you have a strong community in Carleton and you had deep ties in the community. So I understand how that would have been a good transition. Now, I want to talk about sort of that shift, because a lot of it, I'm sure, is similar. You're meeting with some of the same stakeholders. You're meeting with a lot of the same people. You're representing a good portion of the riding that you used to represent in your ward. But you're in Toronto a lot of the time now. You're representing them in Toronto. You're not just in City Hall. What's that been like to represent them in a whole other city in a parliament?
You know what? It's again, it's a question people ask me all the time, and I wish I have more time to explain it a little bit in more detail. But I'm gonna give you the summary of it. You know, representing the resident and the community at Queens Park, it's like I said, it's an honor and it's a pleasure, but also it's an experience for me to understanding on a larger scale what happened in the province. So we spend as much as time as we can in the legislation to be able to do the policies and adjust some of the bills and look at what's happening in the province and introduce new bills and work on old bills and revamp some bills. All this happened in the legislative time. So when you're in Toronto, you're really busy. You go there. I leave Sundays usually. I'm back on Thursday, but it is so busy and the legislation time is so long. We don't sit, it's not short time. People think we take so much vacation because we sit, but our premier is adamant and he wants us to be in our community. So what he does, we prolong the time that we spend at legislation. So we don't take many breaks. So the legislation we have, we start at 9, question period, then you go to quick 1 hour lunch, and then boom, back at the legislation from 1 to 6, and then sometimes to 7, and sometimes we sit night sitting. It depends on the reading and the bill. But this time at Queen's Park, representing my community, meeting with stakeholders is perfect for me because I'm already in Toronto. So if I'm busy, my 4 or 5 days goes so fast because I get in at 7 o'clock in the morning and I leave at 7:30. It depends, and my day it's like it's done. But I'm very busy and it's very scheduled. But also the stuff that we do through caucus with our premier, with the ministers, that's where you interact and you're doing all the work from a legislative perspective. And then you'll have the time you come back into your riding to be able to implement and update your stakeholder on what you've done in those sitting in the spring or in the fall. And then actually you take some more feedback and you prep them. So you're always kind of working, representing on both sides. But the work in the community is a little bit different. We're always in the community, and that's what something I learned from my days when I was at municipality. I like to be in my riding, I like to be in my community, and I rather to be in our riding, meeting with our stakeholder and talking to our people than be traveling into Toronto. But it actually, you have the best of both worlds. So you have the time to represent them at Queen's Park, making the decision that you want to make for them to make their life better, to improve our delivery services and to improve the services that we cater to them. But also you go back to your riding and you work in your riding.
Well, that's great. You know, I've been to Queen's Park quite a few times in the last parliament, and I know it's a busy day. You know, there's as similar as the system is, it's a lot different than what happens in Parliament Hill. Parliament Hill is one world, Queen's Park is another, and a lot of people are more familiar with Parliament Hill. There are similarities, but it's very busy. But I'm glad you mentioned the local issues because I want to talk about some local issues first. I always like to focus on some local issues. One of them is happening right down the road from you. Manotick Main Street's busy.
Yes.
There's a lot of trucks.
Yes.
And I know you've talked about the need for a ring road in Ottawa. Let's talk about that a bit.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's not as strange to anyone, and my community understand, and the Manotick resident and Osgood Ward resident, Barhaven resident, Metcalfe resident, all these people that they live around that main transportation hub that we call it Mitch Owens or Bridge Street or Earl Armstrong. And that's what makes us different. That's why people depend on us and vote us in, because they know we understand and we know our community. And to me personally, I know this issue has been with us for a long time. Every time at council, I fought for intersection improvement in Mitch Owens, Bank Street, and Mitch Owens, River Road and Mitch Owens, and I've done some improvement. But these are only Band-Aid, and the true and the real solution is to build that connection between the 416 to the 417 to help the traffic that it's coming through the villages. We're not talking about the local trucking company that they're delivering the sod. We're not talking about the local company that they're delivering the vegetables, the food to the restaurant. We're talking about a transit. We're talking about the Amazon truck that they come through Ottawa going to Toronto or Toronto going to back to Montreal. We want to make sure we're able to help take that pressure of that traffic outside the villages. Traffic is healthy sometimes for villages to be able to bring the goods and deliver the goods, but some traffic it's nonsense. Some traffic is just coming through the village to go from A to B, and this is where our solution. The south end, it's been suffering and it's been needing this connection for 40 years ago, and we've been talking about it for the longest time ever. So my priority and what I'm looking for and what I want, and I keep bringing this up to our local communities, it's not a short time solution. The short time solution, we have the municipality that we're working with, which is, I know Councillor Brown does amazing job. He understands the issues and he's trying to help here and there. But the long term, the issue that we are talking about, the long term stability for that matter, we need to build that connection. You want to call it 416 to 417, you want to cars to VARs, whatever you want to name it. But we need to take the pressure off the village. We need to take the pressure off Mitch Owens. We need to take the pressure off Metcalf. We need to take the pressure off Manatic, and help those trucks that they want to deliver the goods to be able to freely really come to the village and deliver what they want to do, but the transit truck that they go through to be able to have a different route. And that's what the rural resident need. That's what the people in the south end need. I understand transportation is important, transit is important, which is perfectly. That's what the city is there for. They get the funding, they're building the LRT, they're building the stations, they're building the transit. But you have to understand and realize Ottawa is unique. People who live in Barhaven, people who live in Nepean, people who live in Osgood, in Manatic, they can't jump in the bus conveniently to just go. They have doctor appointment, they have kids in hockeys, they have school, they have university. They want to get from A to B. And let's face it, Ottawa is one of the largest city geographically with challenge, and you can't always hop on your bike or your transit. First of all, it's not reliable from a rural resident perspective, and suburban. We don't have the proper service for them. So people need their cars, and we need to care and deliver. And then people are building homes, and the community are growing. How you grow community without the infrastructure for them to be able to have the goods and the delivery to the communities and to the village?
Well, absolutely. You know, you raised a lot of good points, and that's, like you said, the people in this area, the people in the suburbs understand that. And I feel like there's such a disconnect between the people on the ground that see the issues and tell City Hall, we need to get this done, and then some people that don't understand that and don't want to understand that. The thing that bugs me the most in the past year is the fight that is being picked with Miller's Farm.
Yes.
That bothers me because they are a staple of this community. They do a lot for this community. People can rely on them. And they have to go through this fight because a few people are unhappy about their services, their trucks. But we have real issues that are not being focused on. People need to understand that Miller's is not the problem. The problem is those trucks you were talking about.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? It is, we got caught sometimes in the small little things. And the Miller Farm and the farming community and the business park in Greeley and the business park in Manatic and all these businesses existed before we built those homes, right? And this is a big issue in Ottawa. I find it generally not only in Manatic, but in Osgood Ward and in Monsters and all these villages. There's people, they move into that village, and all of a sudden they want to redesign the village to their comfortable. But this is a rural area. We do have farmer. We do have farm equipment drive the road. We have hunter. People go out and hunt. People move into our communities, and I always try to educate them as much as I can, because they're moving into area by choice. When I brought my family from Blossom Park to Greeley, I knew exactly that my kids, they want to grow up and I'm going to drive them. I'm going to be their taxi. My wife is going to be their taxi. We understood there is not going to be buses. We knew we don't want the buses. So basically, we live in community. We don't want the services. We depend on our own services. We get our water from our well. We have our own septic, even though they're more expensive than city services. But that's what the rural lifestyle. And sometimes you'll find that clash between community and between resident and people because they don't understand our rural community really what's all about. The people's like, oh well, there is a smell. Well, yeah, that's the time where we spread manure into the ground. Those are farmer. We plant, we plant corn. We plant many other fruit and vegetables, and we plant. That's what it is, a rural area. You have snowmobile trail, you have ATV trails, you'll see golf cart in the villages driving, but that's rural. And you'll see dirt bike, and people freak out about it. Well, I understand we all have to be safe. We all have to live together, but those are a uh, small issues. But actually, working with them and fighting with them and educating the people with them, it's actually make your community really stronger, and people appreciate it. But unfortunately, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and you know what? This is part of, those are some of the things we were dealing with, but it's also part of the beauty of Ottawa,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Part of the beauty of Ottawa is that we have such a great, strong farming community that people can move to. And you can move to a rural community, but you're still in the city of Ottawa. It's beautiful. It's an amazing part of the city.
I always tell people the south end of the city of Ottawa is the hidden gem. It's 20 minutes to everywhere. If you look at the map, people say, what's the unique about the south end of the city? Well, if you look at where we are in Manatik or in Greeley or in Osgood, like you're 20 minutes from everywhere. So you're 20 minutes east, 20 minutes west, and 20 minutes north. So, and then where you can find in 20-minute drive, family can bring their kids to Stanley Maple Farm to see them how they produce, maple syrup, and bring them to Miller Farm to show them during Halloween how we talk about hay rides and we talk about pumpkin ride and all these goodies that the communities work together provide, the pies, the little unique taste of the rural villages that you don't find it anywhere, and educate also our kids that they live in the city within 20 minutes anywhere you go. Like city of Ottawa has so many hidden gems between Saunders Farm, Stanley Maple Farm, Miller, and there's so many to name. You don't want to miss anyone, but we have so many hidden. We have museums. We have anything you need in the fingertip. And the nice things about Ottawa, we have urban, suburban, and rural living in one boundary.
It's amazing, and I want to shift gears a little bit now. Not quite Toronto yet, but I want to continue talking about Ottawa in general.
Sure.
Because you are the only PC MPP in Ottawa. You're the only government MPP in Ottawa. And as much as, we have 8 MPPs, and many of them I've met, I think all of them, and they're all great people. But there's a reality that you are the only sitting government member in this city, and a certain responsibility comes upon you
Absolutely.
to sort of be Ottawa's voice at Queen's Park in the government. What has that been like? Especially, you're the only conservative in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Well, on both levels. So what has that been like to sort of represent? That's convention. That's not really a thing, but it's a reality of our politics. What has that been like?
Yeah, so great question. It's just this is one part of my job. I didn't think how busy I'm going to be from only representing my riding, but I also have the responsibility of the city. And we talk about when I was at the city councilor, like, okay, you have your ward and then you have the city issue. Well, today here, I only have my riding, but I also have the city of Ottawa. I work very closely with the mayor, and I have a good relation with all my councilor colleagues at the council table. And I do have so many ministers, and the premier really care about Ottawa. He understands Ottawa's need, and he also thankful. He kept the premier's office for me here in Ottawa under Scott Phelan and his team, that they helped me, because every time there is minister coming, and there is issue need to be dealt, there is a delegation or there is stakeholder meetings, you can see how I am and where I am. I'm spread all over across the city. To me, that's an honor also to be able to help our city, at least at sitting at the government table, to be able to help them and deliver and care them. But the relationship between Queen's Park and Ottawa is very good and is very healthy. And that's where I come in the middle. And to me, it make my life, I'm very busy and my schedule, sometimes I have to cancel and change so many schedules and meeting. And the reason is, even you and I, we had to reschedule a couple times. And that's one of the reason. Because all of a sudden, I know that Minister of Transportation coming, and you want to meet with the mayor to talk about infrastructure and issues. Then you have the Minister of uh, Environment, other minister from red tape reduction, and they want to talk to the city leader to talk about what we can do to help and how is Bill 72 by Ontario, by local, with Mr. Crawford when he came visit with multiple stakeholders. We want to see all the result of all these bill to introduce them to stakeholder, and of course to take back some feedback, what worked, what doesn't work, for us to be able to work on them in the spring setting. But that take all time from me, and I'm very helpful for me that I have the Premier's office, have their office here in Ottawa to help me with, because sometimes I can't make those stakeholders. But it's an honor and it's a pleasure to serve not only my riding, the city, and I know that the mayor and I and the councillor, my council colleague, they always depend on me. We have that open line communication. We meet on a regular basis. It's delay. This is how it happened, and this is how Ottawa right now, they only have one conservative MPP, which is I'm the lucky guy, I would say. But hopefully things change in the future. We'll have more MPP to represent our caucus and our riding. Looking about Canara, we're looking about Nepean and some other riding. But today I'm the only guy, and it's been really, really an honor to do it. But it is very difficult, and honestly, I'm so lucky. I have an amazing Team Darouze here in Carleton, that they work so hard. They struggle between my schedule between Toronto and Ottawa, and all the visits that in between that we have between the ministers that they come, which is, we have so many ministers visiting Ottawa lately, and these are good things for us. These are good initiatives to have these ministers coming and meeting with our stakeholder. They're having that time sitting in a round table or oval table or whatever table you want, but they are sitting and addressing their issue directly to the minister to take those and build better policies and help our communities in the rural area and in the city of Ottawa whole.
Well, and that's exactly it. Like this is the recurring theme, but Ottawa is so unique and there's so much to be said. We have big city issues, we have big city problems, but the nature of the population of the city grants us 8 MPPs as opposed to the 25 that Toronto has. Obviously, there's population-wise, and we're a smaller population. But there's a lot to be done in Ottawa. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of things going on. So that makes a lot of sense. You know, lots of ministers come through, and that's a great thing to hear. Now, I want to shift gears to Toronto a bit.
Yes.
Continuing on with ministers, I want to talk
Sure.
about your role as a parliamentary assistant to 2 veteran MPPs and ministers who have been around for a very long time now, since the beginning of the government. I want to first start with Caroline Mulroney.
Yes.
I interviewed her a couple years ago. She is one of my political icons that I look up to quite a bit, and I've enjoyed looking at her work for a long time. And you've been able to work with her at Treasury Board as her parliamentary assistant. What have you learned sort of from her, and what does that entail? I guess first, what does that entail, and then what have you learned from her?
Yeah, this is good. You know what? People don't really think a Treasury Board as busy as it is, but really you have the purse of the government, and all departments really want to come and pitch every ministry, and every minister's got to come to Treasury Board to ask for money or request programs and all these. Specifically right now, working with the finance minister and working with the Ministry of Finance in the budget preparation. Treasury Board have a huge role. The Ministry of Finance and Treasury Board, they are one of the busiest ministry in the government, and it's very important because these are the people that they disperse the money, and these are the people that account for the money. And with a huge budget that we have in Ontario, being responsible and being on that Treasury board, it is a tremendous help. So, Minister Maroney is an amazing individual. I'm a huge fan. She's a very smart lady. She is well capable of running that ministry, and she's really high in detail and understand the issues not only in Ontario, but she knows most of the issue in Canada in general. And she lead that ministry with an amazing thought. She is very thoughtful in looking about the budget and meeting and negotiating with ministers, and including all the service delivery that ministry are responsible to deliver throughout their ministry, and make sure that all the program and all our commitment and all our priority as a government to be delivered. So she have one of the largest and huge responsibility on her shoulder, and I'm always impressed to see how she handle our meetings and our board, and I'm learning a lot from her. I'm learning tons. So as my role as her PA, we're always involved in all those high-level meetings that, that so many people don't understand and don't see and they don't know about, because these are all internal between ministries. But also my interaction with the ministers, all the ministers, and working with them, and then learning from Minister Maroney how we can debate those issues and how we can look at the Treasury Board budget and how we can distribute the money in the government itself. It's a tremendous work. It's like, honestly, like, it's almost a year right now, and I'm still learning every time. So it takes time to learn those processes and the information, but you're always engaged on a high level with the ministers, with all the ministries, with the deputy ministers, and you know lots ahead of lots of information you retain and you keep, because you know that you're dealing with high confidential levels and file on the side. So it's been amazing experience for me on that file, and working also with the Minister of Finance. Peter is an amazing minister, so I'm very close with all the ministers that they sit on the Treasury Board, Finance Board, and learning a lot. And it's been an honor, to be honest with you.
Well, I know Treasury Board is one of those really interesting positions, one of those things that people always talk about the Minister of Finance and the budget time, but Treasury Board is so important for that. A couple years ago, I interviewed your colleague, Rudy Cazzetto, many times. Yeah. I've interviewed him 3 or 4 times. And when he used to be the Parliamentary Assistant.
I took his office.
Yeah, so I talked with him when he was Parliamentary Assistant, and we really went down in the weeds about what that meant. And, since then, I've really thought about how important Treasury Board is. It is a big thing, especially as we talk about the public service and the return of the public service. Overseeing that is so important.
Yeah. Well, you're right, but also the meetings and the work level, like the reading that you have, Minister Maroney is amazing. She knows this files ins and out. She needs to keep track about everything coming, not only from one ministry, for every ministry. This is an amazing talent that I cannot even believe how much sometimes she have a well of knowledge about all those, and I'm learning from her on that. So it's been amazing for me. But also you're engaged and you're involved, and you have so many meetings. Like our meeting runs weekly. We have long hour meetings and debating and learning and understanding the issues. It's been, I tell you one thing, I really enjoy my work at Treasury Board. Of course, I enjoy both my position, but I'm engaged with the ministers. I'm engaged with the issues that we're dealing with in Ontario, especially right now with the tariff and all those infrastructure that we're trying to build. But like, it is high level information, but it's also very important for me to learn, and I'm very lucky to be in that position.
Well, I know we're running low on time, but I just want to quickly touch on your other position.
Sure.
In MCCSS.
Yeah.
with Minister Parsa.
Yeah.
What has that been like? That's a whole other portfolio on its own, and might be for another conversation for another day. But What has that been like?
It's you know what, MCCSS is very important ministry, and it impact our community, not only our youth, our senior. We deliver over 300 program. We with ODSB, uh, children aids, the autism files, and all these uh, small institution that they deliver the services through the hospital or through non-profit organization that we work. It is one of the largest delivery service the ministry have in Ontario here, and I can start naming from veterans to youth to seniors to the people that need help, from violence against women, uh, everything that Ontario deliver to the service to our communities and many other community in Ontario comes through MCCS. As the schools, the program we deliver, it is, I can't name them to you because there is so many of them. It took me 6 months when I joined MCCSS in taking training and administration courses and also orientation for me to be able to to be able to learn and talk about all the program we deliver. But there is Minister Parsa is I'm not sure you met him or you
I've
interviewed
met him a
him.
few times,
He
yeah.
is an amazing individual. He is caring. He's a, our premier done amazing job, not just naming ministers for their ministry, but they care about their ministry. You look at all the ministers that they deliver the services, it's perfect match. Minister Parsa done phenomenal job for MCCSS, and I'm so honored. Like I know we're our 3PA for him, myself, Cole, and then MPP Pierre, but he is so busy across the province delivering the messages and the services, and he truly care about the people in Ontario, about delivering the services to our student, to our youth, to our senior, and it is one of an amazing job. I was really at the beginning when I heard that I'm gonna BPA for MCCSS. I'm like, oh my God, this is a huge. But you know what? He took me under his wing, and every ministers. There is one thing we didn't talk about, but I want to tell you the day I got to Queens Park, and I did mention this in my caucus to my colleague. All the ministers we have are amazing. They make our transition so easy because they took us under their wing and they understand that we need to learn and adapt an orientation. It was no issue. They helped us through the transition. We didn't feel nothing. It was an amazing transition, and Minister Parsa done great job on taking us in. And even till today, him and I, we talk. I know he's going to be in Ottawa next week, and we meet every morning. We talk about issues and we discuss what's happening in the ministry because they're very informative. We have a lots of program to deliver, and we need to be able and capable of delivering those services and the information that come to us from the ministry to be able how we're going to help the individuals. It's amazing.
Well, thank you so much for bringing that up. There's a lot going on, and something I think about when you mention how they brought you under their wing is, how much it's been about 7 years now, or 6 or 7 years ago, we had a very new government. Many of the people
2018.
that were there were new. Many of them had never served in provincial government before. We have talked a bit about your transition to municipal government. Many of the MPPs in this government were municipal councillors, and that helped
Absolutely.
get them
I,
into
I think
there.
it's the best transition.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's very important, and it helps with everything.
Yeah, being a politician coming right to the Queen's Park, if it's your lawyer or doctor or whatever the case it is, it's okay, it's different. But being a municipal level, grassroots leader, understand your community, understand the work, I think it's a perfect transition to come right from. And I was asked this morning, I was at a breakfast meeting, and someone said, if you look at it from a bigger about 10 years ago, would you want to rather be like right away an MPP or city councillors or what? I said, you cannot compare that. You can compare, I want to be a city councillor or an MP because the federal level government deliver different services. But because the MPP it's directly connected to your municipal work because the municipality exists because of the province. That's interaction work that the transition is just makes sense and it's perfect. And that's what people ask me all the time. Will you do it differently? No, that's exactly. I learned grassroots. I built the foundation. I understood our city and I understood our ward. And then now you become an MPP. And it's so easy for me as an MPP right now to be able to doing the job as I'm the only conservative MPP in Ottawa. But what helped me and the foundational, it's me being counselor at the city of Ottawa. That's what's helping me. So it's win-win.
Well, and I think that's a great note to end our interview on today. I really appreciated our conversation, MPP Darouze. Thank you so much for having me, for hosting me in your office. It was great to chat with you. VCalla Show, I always like to give the last sort of word to the guest. Any final words for today?
Well, I want to thank you actually for taking the time and putting me in your podcast. I know you and I, we meet sometimes in the community, and I appreciate the work you do in for our cities and our province. I also want to tell the listener and the people that are listening to us, be engaged, be involved. People talk about politicians, they think we're far away from people. We're not. We're here to serve. Any politician put their name on the ballot, they do it for same common goal. So I always, when I meet with Fanjoy, sometimes he's an MP for the Liberal, he's our MP here from the Liberal Party, and our new councillors and all colleagues, we work together collectively. We have the same common goals. When we get elected, yeah, sure, there is Liberal, there is Conservative, but that's for my work in the caucus, and that's what I do in Toronto. But when I'm here in the riding, my common goals to serve all my residents and my community. We have open door. We are out in the community. We're implementing a new program called At Your Door. So we will be visiting businesses and we're going to talk to them about, of course, because we impact the businesses directly sometimes with different bills that we do, especially right now with Protecting Ontario and our premier. That's one thing every morning when he wake up, how we can protect Ontario, how we can keep implementing laws and implementing policies to help Ontarian every day from delivery the services. And that's what we are here for, to deliver and help our residents. I hope our community listen. I hope our people everywhere in Ontario come and talk to their MPP and be engaged and be involved and volunteer.
Thank you so much, MPP Darouze. Really appreciate it. Can't wait for our next conversation.
Me too.
I know there will be many more coming in the next few years. Hopefully less than a year away, but I'm sure we'll talk more. So that's all for today. The VCalla Show is a VCalla production in association with CrossCut Digital Strategies. So until the next interview, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.
Hey, thanks for making it to the end of this video. If you liked this interview, you can find more by visiting VCalla Productions on YouTube, following at VC Productions 25 across all my social media, and visiting vcallaproductions.ca, where you can also join my mailing list. So that's all for this video, and I will catch you in the next one.